So if you haven't seen The Wrecking Crew yet, here's what you need to know. The whole movie circles around a dysfunctional half-brother duo, James and Jonny Hale. These two have to learn to actually work together, and the thing that brings them back into each other's lives, the death of their father, Walter, a private investigator, in what looks like a hit and run. But it's not that simple. As James and Jonny dig into what really happened, they end up unofficially investigating the whole thing themselves. And along the way, they're forced to work through years of interpersonal drama and family trauma. By the end of it, they've not only reconnected, they've become real, integral parts of each other's lives. But here's the thing. The investigation doesn't just help them heal. It also uncovers a massive conspiracy involving illegal casino development and the corrupt identity of a local politician. So yeah, a lot happens. Sequel status: is The Wrecking Crew 2 happening? Now the big question everyone's been asking, is there going to be a sequel? As of right now, there's no official confirmation. But here's the good news. The movie left a ton of room for a future continuation. And if the film keeps performing well with audiences and on streaming platforms, a potential Wrecking Crew 2 could be on the horizon as early as 2028. What the writers are saying. And it's not just fans hoping for more. Screenwriter and executive producer Jonathan Tropper has actually spoken up about it. In a conversation, Tropper opened up about where he sees the story going next. He said, "These brothers are now united in a way they weren't before. And if they do another one, it's going to be all about upping the ante, putting James and Jonny in a much more difficult situation than the first film. And watching whatever relationship they've built between the two movies start to unravel, because they get thrown into the trenches together again." So yeah, it sounds like the creative minds behind this thing already have ideas. All that's left is for Prime Video to greenlight it. So a sequel does seem to tentatively be in the cards. Plot potential: Jonny's mother's murder. Now let's talk about where the story could actually go. One of the biggest threads left dangling at the end of The Wrecking Crew is the murder of Jonny's mother. The first film focuses heavily on the death of Walt Hale, James and Jonny's father. Even though it can easily be written off as an accident, a few shady instances push the brothers to raise some red flags and start digging on their own. And that ends up leading to the massive conspiracy we just talked about. But here's the emotional layer underneath all of that. By the end of the film, Jonny, the ex-cop, actually finds out who murdered his mother decades ago, and instead of running after them, he burns the note. Now that might sound like he's letting it go, but it's actually way deeper than that. It's a sign of his character development. He's learned to sit with feelings of vengeance and past hurt without letting them overpower his ability to appreciate what he has right now. But does that mean it's over? Not necessarily. It's totally possible that down the line, circumstances push Jonny to a breaking point that forces him to confront that unresolved pain. And given that James, the Navy SEAL, has promised to stick by his brother no matter what, it's likely he'd jump right in alongside Jonny for any vengeance-fueled misadventures. Cast: who's coming back for The Wrecking Crew 2? Alright, so let's talk cast. The Wrecking Crew is an action comedy buddy cop film, and it lives and dies by the on-screen chemistry between the two leads, Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa. So it's pretty safe to say both of them are going to reprise their roles as James and Jonny if a sequel happens. And reportedly, Tropper has already discussed the possibility of a second installment with both Bautista and Momoa, which not only makes their return more likely, but also ties Tropper himself to the project to an extent. Now beyond the main duo, there are a bunch of supporting characters who could very well come back too. James's immediate family is a big one. That includes his wife Layla, played by Roymata Fox, his kids Lonnie and Kai, played by Maya Kealoha and Joshua Tuiverology, and his cousin Nani, played by Frankie Adams. Then there's Morena Baccarin, who plays Valentina, Jonny's ex-girlfriend. If the sequel continues to explore that eclectic romance between the two of them, she's got a solid shot at coming back. Jacob Batalon's character Pika is another one to watch. He forms a great bond with both brothers throughout the first film, so there's a good chance he shows up again. Now, one character whose return is a little more up in the air is Governor Peter Maho, played by Temuera Morrison. Given how things go down for that character in the first movie, his chances of reprising the role are a bit more ambiguous. And of course, because this is an action comedy, the door is wide open for brand new cast members too. New friends, new foes. James and Jonny's world is only going to get bigger. So that's where things stand with The Wrecking Crew 2. The creative team is clearly interested, the story has plenty of threads to pull on, and it really comes down to how the first film performs. Keep your eyes on this one. We'll keep you updated as soon as anything official drops.